I don't know if you've heard, but Alexander Ovechkin is close to Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring record, and because of that, there's hoopla in the Lenovo Center tonight. A lot of eyes on the Lenovo Center tonight, and that's good for the Canes for a few reasons. One, what have we been talking about for the last, 2 years on this show, 6 years on shows? You judge the Canes by how they perform in the postseason, right? You judge the Canes by how far they make it in the postseason. Now that Rod's taken over and they've built this core and they have this level of expectation, you judge them on the postseason. So what has been the struggle? How do you simulate? How do you get ready for the postseason? Which is why throughout this year, sporadically, before games, I'll look at Dennis and I'll say 1 to 10. How big a game is this on the scale, on the big game scale, 1 to 10? And if he says really anything like 8 or above, I go, beautiful. This is the simulation, right? It's not playoff hockey, don't get me wrong. But it's as close as you can get in a regular season game. I want big players to make big plays in big time games so when they get to the biggest of games in the postseason, they're used to it. Tonight's going to feel bigger than a regular season game. Radio-only broadcast for Mike Maniscalco and Trip Tracy, so you have to hear them right here on 99.9 The Fan. The game will be nationally televised. Like I said, all the hoopla, the ceremony, the pomp and circumstance, partially because of Ovechkin, will all be here. And on top of that, the Canes can clinch playoff spot. Last night, neither Montreal nor Columbus won, although they were both adventures if you paid attention to those games. Neither team won. So the Canes haven't technically clinched a playoff spot.
Neither lost.
Nah, that's the right way to put it.
Yeah.
They had to win in any form or fashion, and then they had to lose in any form or fashion. Neither team, there you go. You know what they didn't clinch is what I'm saying. Starting off hot on a Wednesday, 3 minutes into the game, just completely reversing logic. The Canes have not clinched. They could have last night without playing if some other things resulted in specific outcomes. Didn't happen, is what I'm saying. They just need 1 point tonight. So they can clinch a playoff spot, which raises everything. The Ovechkin stuff raises it a little bit more. It's a division game, raises a little bit more. It's a team you're chasing in the standings, raises a little bit more. It's going to feel like a big game. How do you deal with that? Can you compartmentalize? Can you do your job on the smallest scales when it does feel bigger? Rod Brind'amour understands they can clinch a playoff spot, but understands the focus has to be day to day.
We still just take care of business. We've got to stay focused on today, and the big picture and all that stuff will take care of itself if we continue to focus on kind of doing what we have to do day in, day out. So, that was the goal, 6 months ago, 7 months ago when we started. We still have to, accomplish that, and then, chip away at the other stuff.
We'll talk about the Ovechkin side of it all later in the show. I'm going to maybe push back a little bit here, and here's what I mean by that. I've talked to a bunch of Canes fans. I talk to Canes fans as often as I can. Dennis and I constantly talking. Graham, Paul Ihander, all of us. I talk with Adam Gold. We talk Canes. Recently, when I ask, like, hey, what do you like when somebody wants to talk about there's the topics they bring up, it's less about, hey, this big divisional game's coming up, or, oh, I can't wait to see them against Winnipeg, or Washington's coming. It's more, when you're talking Canes, the big picture stuff. We've had a lot of fun talking about what are the lines going to be in the postseason. We've had a lot of fun talking about what is the rotation in net, if there is a rotation in net at all in the postseason. Are the new guys ready? Is what Jankowski's doing for real? Do you depend on him? Who are the centers? What is Kokiniemi ready to do? Like these bigger kind of overarching, are we ready for the postseason questions have taken over. Oh, there's a big game on Saturday. Oh, there's a big game on Wednesday, right? Whatever the day is. Early in the season, you're looking towards those. Now it's very obvious the lighthouse cutting through the fog is the postseason. Everybody's trying to get ready. And you might even go beyond that. Where's Taylor Hall's contract extension, right? Like, you're talking real big picture. That's what we're dealing with right now. That's what the next 9 games and what tonight is about. Get ready for the postseason. And we have more audio from Rod Brind'amour speaking to the media, talking specifically about how the trade deadline took place when it did, all of the moving and shaking that took place when it did, but now it's about guys buying in and everyone's moved on from the chaos.
They do a real nice job of just not listening to the stuff that's around. And I think I just said, we count on everybody, and it's not really about one guy. And so maybe the focus was on one guy for a little while there, and that's not how we operate. So maybe having that little shift in the way everything was kind of brought up and in the room, getting back to, we need 20 guys to take part of it, and that's kind of what's happened.
Figuring out your roles, figuring out how you play best together. 9 games. 9 games. Single dig till you're in the postseason. A 12-3 streak in their last 15, it's lovely. It's significantly better than the inverse. A 12-3 streak in March means nothing if you get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Can you imagine saying that to anybody on the Canes? Right? Playoffs don't go the way they want in a big way. Yeah, but remember that 12-3 streak you had in March? I'd duck right after you say that one. So tonight, big game feel. How do you play in a big game? All eyes on you. How do you feel with all eyes on you? Because that's going to be every single game 9 games from now. As far as like tangible news we can pass along, Jordan Staal did not skate at morning skate, so he is not expected out there on the ice today, which it's not easy for the Canes. Plays a specific role, as we talked about yesterday, leadership, grinding the other team's goal scoring line. There's a lot of things he does out there that will be missed. I'm curious how it hits the shaking up the lines. Martinook and Staal, where does Martinook go? Who plays with Martinook? Who skates with Martinook? Who's the third on that line? There's a lot to get. Stankoven probably. There's a lot to get to there. Where does Svech skate today? He's been back, but not for very long. So I'm looking for where he works himself into the lineup, where Rod works himself into the lineup.
Based on this morning, it was Jack Roslovic centering Svechnikov and Taylor Hall. That was this morning. That's what they practiced with yesterday. Tyson Jost down on that quote-unquote fourth line with Jankowski and Eric Robinson. So yeah, Kokoniemi between Martinook and Stankoven.
Interesting. I mean, this is not meant as a joke, but if Kokoniemi's not going to get shots on goal anyway, might as well put him on the grinding line.
He can play that type of game. When he plays a heavy physical style of game, that's actually when he plays really, really well. Obviously, you just want a little bit more offensive production, but he can play that style.
Yeah, he goes in waves. Sometimes I'm like, all right, buddy, you don't got to shoot everything, and then sometimes if you're open, shoot it, man.
Everything.
It doesn't have to be Taylor Hall every single time down the ice. So maybe splitting them up, we'll get Kokoniemi's aggressive selfishness back out there. My point is, without Staal, it does shake things up, and that does make it a more difficult game for the Canes, even on top of playing one of the best teams in the NHL in a big, highly televised spotlight game.
Real quick question: at what point do you really get concerned if Staal doesn't play maybe Friday and Saturday? Like, at what point do you like, this might be a little bit longer term than expected?
I don't. He's so veteran. I don't think he needs a long runway to get back into the mix. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna play this off of, and you're gonna be like, how in the world do you do this? I'm gonna play this off of Rod's body language, which is it's like 1% change. It's not very different. But as long as he keeps saying like, I don't think it's anything long term. I don't think like there's just a difference in tone, a little bit of seriousness in the brow. How furrowed is it? I'm gonna play and I watching him talk about Staal. Hearing him talk about Staal, I'm not concerned yet, but there'll be a point where there's like one extra sigh before he answers, one extra and I'm going to go, uh-oh. Then my alarms will be going off. But I'm not there yet. What about you? Saturday?
No, I think honestly for me, if he's back at some point next week.
Okay.
Whether that's the Thursday next week when they're at Washington or whatever, maybe going into next Saturday.
So they
Rangers.
play tonight. They have the back-to-back Friday, Saturday,
Yep.
Tuesday at Buffalo, Thursday at Washington, then that Saturday versus New York. That's the Rangers at home, and that'll be the fourth to last game of the year.
Yeah.
So just pre-Rangers, Washington or earlier is what you're getting at?
Yeah, somewhere around that time.
I'm fine with that.
Let them get fully rested and healed up.
I agree with that too. And this is like Stahl, tough guy, right?
Mhm.
He and Rod have to be like super open and honest. Like, are you 100% or are you 92 and telling me 100 because you're a tough guy? Like that all has to be on Front Street.